Arrested Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has told the Supreme Court that he is willing to furnish an undertaking to not sign any official files if released on an interim bail in the excise policy scam. There were a number of arguments that went back and forth. The court also went on to say that he should be released, or ideally ought to be released, for the sake of his constituents. Rajalakshmi, the Supreme Court leaning very heavily towards giving Arvind Kejriwal some sort of a reprieve here. He's been locked up in Tihar jail for quite some time, but it seems that the legal process is falling towards Arvind Kejriwal.
Good afternoon, Vineet. Actually, any of this, I don't think it in any way indicates that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is innocent. So he is being given, or what is under consideration is an interim bail. It's not even a permanent bail. So this is something that is of a very temporary nature, and that also it will come with a lot of terms and conditions. Maybe it will be only probably for the cause of campaigning for the elections, and he might not even be able to perform his duties as the chief minister. I think that is what I understand from whatever has been the proceedings in the Supreme Court. So this, I think, the reason why he is being given this interim bail is because his charges have not been proved as such, but the ED has been constantly saying that they have definitely a lot of proof. They have enough evidence to show that he is definitely guilty of all that he has been accused of. So it isn't as if he is being let off, and not even as if he is being given bail. Bail is a norm in our justice procedures. So it is that is the first thing that normally is considered, and here he was denied bail, and even now he's not been given a proper bail also. So this is just an interim so that he can be, he being the chief minister.
Okay, Rajalakshmi, what we're learning at this point in time is that the court has resumed hearing, and they might consider an interim bail for Arvind Kejriwal. The final order is obviously not going to be passed, but an interim order is going to be considered. Justice Khanna went on to say, we are not going by whether it is a politician or not. Every individual has some special or exceptional circumstances. We are considering whether exception is required in view of these ongoing elections. Advocate Chandni.
The ED has given a lot of information and a lot of data to the Supreme Court, on basis of which the Supreme Court till date has not permitted any bail to Arvind Kejriwal. So very legally speaking, interim bail given to Kejriwal is not going to have a lot of effect on the main case, because this is only and only pertaining to the Lok Sabha elections. It has nothing to do with the ongoing case that is going on.
Interesting observation. They told specifically that it's not like a harvest where you can come out every 5 or 6 months. Elections happen every 5 years. So to give due credit to the Supreme Court, they are considering all the ifs and buts, and let's hope that the right decision is taken.
What happened with Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav? Lalu Prasad Yadav was never released. And you see what happened because of that. One of the reasons why the RJD has been in trouble was that Lalu Prasad Yadav was not released. So why wasn't that provision also applied in his case? So the minute you start saying such things, every political leader who is locked up for certain reasons, and that could be anything, from murder to God knows what. This gentleman is of course locked up for graft, on charges of graft. So everybody will come and say, see, this is the precedent you have set, so you have to give us bail now. So let us see whether this judgment is going to open up a Pandora's box or not.
While addressing the issue, Justice Khanna has said that we are not saying there has to be a different law for politicians. Solicitor General Mehta further added that there is no question of your Lordship's jurisdiction, just that doors are being opened for it would be impossible for prosecutors when any Kiryana owner or a labourer comes asking for the same exception. Mr. Mehta also went on to say that he has no ministry, no portfolio, no sign and no responsibility. Further, Advocate Singhvi interjected stating, I will not sign any files, but LG will also not refuse. Rajalakshmi Joshi, Vijay Nair was allowed to occupy Cabinet Minister Kailash Gehlot's bungalow adjacent to the Chief Minister's house. Now, this also, may be a fact that could or could not affect what happens today. But obviously, this does tell you how important Vijay Nair was in the Aam Aadmi Party.
Yes, definitely. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has flouted every rule, everything possible. So, all these theatrics that you were talking about right now, just imagine that the man wears, a simple shirt. He dresses up like a chaprasi, but he spends a horrendous amount on his sheesh mahal, on the renovation of his house, of his bungalow. So that, he pretends to be an Aam Aadmi, but his lifestyle is nowhere close to being an Aam Aadmi. So, he has actually flouted everything possible. So, from Mr. Vijay Nair, whom, he has called as "Ye Mera Ladka hai," and, he has introduced them on Zoom calls, etc. So, all of that, there is a lot of evidence. And just imagine that he has destroyed close to 170 iPhones. That kind of an evidence is there. So, there is definitely no doubt that there is a lot than what meets the eye. So, and there are also these accusations of him getting funding from Khalistani elements also. So there are a lot of accusations against him, which definitely need to be investigated. And after the ED, the CBI wants to investigate him, then the NIA wants to investigate him. So, this is not going to end so easily. So, like I was telling you earlier, that even if he is given this interim bail,
but they allege that it's all part of a grand political vendetta program.
How can Mr. Vijay Nair be operating from his own minister's house if what was the role of BJP to play in that? And just imagine that the Congress was the one who has actually made a huge hue and cry about this. So the BJP has nothing to do with this, actually. Very frankly, I would say that the BJP is getting credit for this arrest, whereas it was actually the Congress that actually took it up very, they were very vehemently against this, and that was for a different reason. They were trying to pin down Mr. KCR in Telangana, and what happened is because of their association with Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, both of them got tagged together, and today both the parties are in a huge problem there. And neither is Mr. KCR's daughter getting bail, nor are any of those Aam Aadmi Party leaders getting bail. So, the Aam Aadmi Party cannot go on and say that every central agency possible and the judiciary also is under the guidance of the BJP. So, and that also the Congress has made a huge claim.
Okay, let's get. All right, let's also get
that reason. The court would also be undoing a good amount of jurisprudence that it has itself evolved over the last 20 years. In 2002, it is the Supreme Court that said that people who vote should have greater disclosure, and that is how the court said that every candidate should in fact be disclosing far more information than what was mandated by the law until then. And it is the court that set up special courts to try MPs and MLAs that have been accused of crimes, so that the trials would in fact happen faster. It is a court that said when a person who is a sitting legislator, whether be a MP or a MLA, and gets convicted, then he will be automatically disqualified. That was not the position until then. So for a court that has evolved a jurisprudence of this nature to now say that, wait, someone has an election to canvass, so we will in fact let him out on bail, I think is going to undo that much of jurisprudence, because the most that you would do by successfully canvassing is to put someone as a member of parliament or a state assembly. But whoever is a member of parliament or a state assembly is already subject to stringent disqualification measures. Why? Because of what the Supreme Court has said. If a person is a sitting MLA or a MP and he in fact is convicted, he's automatically disqualified.
Mr. Kejriwal has no portfolio. I think Atishi has about 11 to 12 ministries under her, and she's taking care of most of the work that the Aam Aadmi Party is doing in Delhi. This also seems to be a matter of convenience, when such ghotalas happen.
Very, very intelligently, he has not kept anything with him, that so that he can, detach himself if anything happens ever. So very smart of him to not put any portfolio. Like he said this in the court also, that
It's entirely possible that the ED would argue that this is a party that has done some public good and then taken the pretext of that public good to indulge in rampant corruption. And if the ED is going to offer credible information to the court, then the court would find it really very difficult to grant bail, number one. Number two, also because Mr. Kejriwal has to blame himself for making it difficult for him to readily ask for bail, because he's skirted 9 summons, he's flouted 9 summons. Now, if you do that, it really becomes very difficult for the court to single out you as a special person or a privileged person and then to consider grant of bail, notwithstanding that you've skirted 9 summons. Now, if
Rajalakshmi, isn't it strange that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal ignored all those summons because he said that the system was flawed, and now he's betting on the same system to get bail?
Yes, Vineet, what I find very strange is, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has forever been giving certificates to others as well as to himself. He has been talking about how he is this Kattar Imandar, and then all these things keep changing as per his own convenience. So at one time he was actually questioning why some of the political leaders are not facing the ED, they don't face the courts. So that was the very question that he had put up, and maybe he didn't know at that time, and maybe he didn't think that he would get caught in a similar situation. So now he has been giving all kinds of certificates. So he spoke about how Mr. Sisodia should be given the Bharat Ratna for the best education system. And look at it that the public schools in Delhi, the students didn't even have textbooks. So, all of this, it only shows that he has actually completely neglected his own duties. He has completely been overlooking every part of it. And the focus was always only on advertisements, on television channels, in newspapers, and at the same time questioning and putting allegations on.
He actually destroyed evidences.
Yeah, and he did hold press
destroyed
conferences. He did hold press conferences after those summons, saying
True.
that this was a
Exactly.
ploy to
Exactly.
incriminate him.
Cannot be, everything that is happening with Kejriwal. You see, the LG gave an intimation that he has got $16 million from SFJ. That is the amount that he has, the LG has suggested. So not everybody can be conspiring against Kejriwal, right? The
All right.
Congress today is telling
Okay.
that BJP is doing this with Kejriwal.
Yeah,
It was the
we've run
Congress
out of time.
who
Joyita wants to say something quickly. Joyita, 10 seconds.
This topic of SFJ came up. I mean, I think that is the thing that,
$16 million. That's a chunk of change.
I think that is the worst thing that any Indian can do to India. I mean, that is frankly anti-India. You cannot take from Khalistanis, you cannot take
Has it
from
been proven?
terrorists
Has it been
money.
proven?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it is proven, sorry, that should disqualify Mr. Kejriwal
Okay.
from Indian politics for life. I will feel very passionately about
All
it.
right. Rajalakshmi, do you reckon that this also perhaps, spells out a dip in Mr. Kejriwal's popularity? Joyita alluded to a very important perspective, that it really didn't make a difference in Delhi, whether he was in or out, whether he was in Tihar jail or was he at home. So do you think this dip in popularity perhaps might also fructify for the BJP when the next assembly elections happen?
Yes, definitely, Vineet. There is, very interestingly, just let me tell you the statistics that, even at the height of his popularity, when he just started, at that time also, in the 2014 elections also, he was not able to make any dent into the BJP's popularity. So that is how it was. And then, there was this, he had an interesting vote share at that time, but that vote share also fell in 2019. It fell down to half actually in Delhi. And in Punjab also, the first time round, they won, in 2014, he won 4 seats. And then in 2019, again, in Punjab also the popularity has gone down, and in 2019, they got just 1 seat. So that is how it was. So, in the Vidhan Sabha, in the assembly elections, for whatever reason, maybe for the freebies or whatever, the people might be going for the Aam Aadmi Party. But then when it comes to the Lok Sabha elections, there is absolutely no doubt that the people have been constantly voting for the BJP. And so at the height of his popularity, when he had 0 seats in Delhi, and even in Punjab, actually, he was not able to really make so much of a dent. And it has been dipping. So now today, I'm not actually surprised or shocked that nobody has come out in his support, because people are seeing through whatever has happened. So it is not as if this is something new. People were a little too miffed when, in spite of the fact that the ladies had a problem, in every nukkad there was this daru ka adda. So, then that is something that this Sharab Gotala has definitely made a huge dent into his popularity. So, contrary to what the Aam Aadmi Party might be saying, they are making all kinds of comparisons. They are actually going as far as to comparing him with Prabhu Sri Ram, saying that on one of your own debates, I have actually I have been appalled at how they have been doing that. So this kind of a dip in his popularity definitely shows in how people have not really been affected by what is happening. Whether he is in or out of jail, nothing has actually affected them. It's only the Aam Aadmi Party who has actually, and most of them only on the television channels, they have been coming here and making a huge hue and cry about it, and outside on the roads in some places. But
Right.
otherwise, the people are not really affected. And look at it, that he has not actually taken even one ministry. He didn't do any of it when he was outside of jail. So from inside of jail, how he is going to affect any of the ministries is beyond anybody's understanding. So actually,
That's a good point, actually. And